Sim racing is pretty amazing. How else are you or me or anyone going to be able to lap a LaFerrari around the ring? Or race a unicorn against a trophy truck, which is actually something they did. And also I really want to do. But you've already got a wheel, you've already got pedals, you might have a shifter. How do you take your sim racing to the absolute next level? You get into the world of motion simulation. And this video is not just talking about something that rumbles your seat. We're going to be talking about some of the craziest motion simulators that money can buy. And stay tuned because the last rig on this list is going to blow your mind. What's up, viewer? I'm the Squid. This is Ideal Cars. We talk a lot about cars, and I think we're going to start talking a little more about video games. So go ahead and subscribe down below for more of this kind of content. And without further ado, let's go. Do you remember that really bad movie, Wild Wild West? It was terrible, but it did have one really redeeming quality, and that was the giant mechanical spider.
He has an 80-foot tarantula.
If you're like me, you immediately wanted to know what it was like to pilot that thing. Well, the Motion Systems QUBIC QS might be the closest thing you can get in the real world. Now, what makes Motion Systems rig so wild? Let's start with that it offers you 6 degrees of freedom. That means it can move in pretty much any direction. Most of you are already familiar with left and right, up and down, forward and back. That's only 3 degrees. If you're like me and you're into flying planes, you also know about yaw, pitch, and roll. Put those together and you have 6 full degrees of motion. What this means is when you get into your simulator and you go into a corner, the chair leans into it to give you that sense of G-forces. When you brake hard into a corner, it pitches forward to simulate the G-forces of you slamming on the brakes. And of course, when things go wrong, those 6 degrees of freedom are going to give you a thrashing. Now, of course, this rig is $25,000, so it better be damn good. I mean, for that price, I could get a brand new BRZ and go actually racing out in the real world. But see, with the Motion Systems, when you crash your race car, you can just hit reset, man. It's all good. Bonus, this rig also doubles as an amazing flight simming rig. So if you're like me and you like flying around in F-16s, this is $25,000 well spent if you have $25,000. Now, if you don't want a giant, expensive mechanical spider in your living room, the next item on our list might be more your taste. Bonus, it doesn't need a ladder to get into it. And it costs less than half the price. We're talking about the Fastech Racing Cube. Don't get it twisted, the Fastech Racing Cube is still expensive at just about $10,000. But in the world of motion sims, that's actually kind of a good value. Sure, that's more than most of you have probably paid for one of your cars, but the Racing Cube can actually do that roll, pitch, and yaw game that most of its expensive counterparts also do. And what really makes the Racing Cube special is that it's compact. That's something that a lot of people might overlook when they're looking for their ultimate driving simulator. But if you're like me and you live in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment, size matters. I mean, that Motion Systems we talked about needs like a whole garage. And some of the sims on this list won't fit on anything smaller than a small warehouse. So the Racing Cube might be the realistic motion sim for your bedroom or living room. Additionally, each simulator is built to the customer's specific needs. You can actually get them designed to mirror the position and placements of your actual car. So if you've ever wondered what it's like to take your project car around the Nürburgring, this might actually be the cheapest way to do it. Okay, I know this is a list of the wildest motion sim rigs, so let's jack up the price a little bit and see how much we can spend here. If you're a real sim racing god and a sim rig that costs as much as a BRZ just isn't enough for you, you maybe want one that's worth about the price of a Corvette, then you should be talking to CXC and getting one of their Motion Pro racers. Surround sound? Check. Giant 77-inch display? Out of the box. Formula 1 steering wheel with a gated shifter? Of course. 6-figure price tag? Obviously. But that's the price tag for what CXC claims is one of the most accurate motion sim rigs on the market today. At least on the consumer level. Real F1 racing drivers have like $1 million sim rigs that are insane. But more on those in a minute. Now, the Motion Pro Racer also includes its own custom profiles. So you can upload Lewis Hamilton's 2015 Formula 1 setup, and the simulator will automatically adjust itself to those settings, which is pretty cool. Is it $100,000 cool? I don't know. I feel like the only people that should buy a CXC are people that are looking to rent it out to other people, because I mean, you're gonna wanna make some of that money back. It's a big chunk of change to blow on a video game. Having used a CXC Motion Pro myself, I can tell you that it's kind of tame compared to some of the offerings on this list. It's almost downright safe, which is not a word you really think about when you're talking about sim racing. I mean, you're in a video game. What could be dangerous? Well, wait until you see the Motion Sim 4 DOF. The Motion Sim 4 DOF looks like an industrial accident just waiting to happen. The addition of its giant red emergency stop button definitely helps send the point home that this is a carnival ride. Now, why would you want an insane, giant, red, dangerous piece of carnival equipment in your living room? Well, the 4 DOF is actually capable of some insane movements. The Extreme 4x4 can throw you a couple of feet and generate more than 2 Gs of acceleration force. Just make sure you put it in somewhere with a high ceiling because you don't really want to be racing through the mountains and end up with your head through the drywall. Now, if electrical crane equipment isn't really your forte in terms of aesthetics, this next option looks a little more sharper image and a little less like that robot crane that Ripley used to fight the alien. The Elitist simulator is very similar to the Motion Sims QS that we talked about earlier. They both have 6 degrees of movement, they both cost about $27,000, and they both have best-in-class movement response. It's just that this one takes up way less space. In fact, Elitist says their whole design philosophy is minimalism. No exposed actuators or crazy arms that suspend you in the air, just a chair and some monitors attached to a gimbal, which allows the Elitist to fit into a 7x7 square in your living room, which is minuscule compared to that CXC, which I think is about as big as a whole car. One bonus point for the Elitist is it comes with a Sparco R100 racing seat, which I think is the same one I had in my drift car. But $27,000 is still just an insane price tag for a freaking video game. I mean, how many quarters is that at the arcade to play on their racing sims? Are there still arcades in the world? Now, if you're willing to trade convenience for some elbow grease and a little hard work, you can get yourself a very capable motion sim for a lot less money. The DOF Reality P6, which, if you remember before, DOF stands for Degrees of Freedom, is probably one of the least expensive and most capable simulators out there. It's only $6,500. You get 6 actuators that try to produce the same motion simulation as the other sims on this list. And by all accounts, it's very capable. Of course, at its price tag, you're not going to get any crazy extreme movements, but maybe that's better for your health anyway. Additionally, you're going to have to source your own wheel, pedals, seat, and hardware. So factor that into your budget when you're considering this, but all told, you could probably get a good setup for under 10 grand here. But if you're like me, you might already have all that hardware ready to go, and all you need is the platform. And this might be the best bang for the buck to do so. Now, it's one of the cheaper and most capable. What about literally just the cheapest option? Well, for less than half the price of the P6, you can actually get into the world of motion simulation with the Next Level Racing motion platform. Now, it is not the most powerful platform on our list by any means, but it is the most compact. And most importantly, especially to our viewers, it's the cheapest. You could probably buy the Next Level Racing platform and build out a whole sim rig worth of equipment and still be at less money than that Reality P6. And while a lot of the rigs on this list are only the stuff of dreams, this is actually a very reasonable, very affordable, very practical option on this list that you could actually kind of enjoy in a small apartment. So if you're watching this Next Level, send me one. So if you want to enjoy the thrill of racing a real car around real racetracks around the world for less than the cost of you driving your project vehicle at the track for a weekend, the Next Level Racing platform is an incredible value. Now, I know some of you might be real enthusiasts here and be saying, that's not the cheapest and most powerful option. Of course, the best option is to build a platform yourself. YouTube University and the internet as a whole is just an incredible resource for information. There are builders of motion platforms all around the world. And honestly, if you're into sim racing, you're probably a tinkerer. DIY is a huge part of sim racing. You have people building racing seats out of wood and PVC pipes, to people building full-on 6 DOF motion sim rigs out of cheap parts on Amazon. Don't even get me started on the flight sim guys who build out like an entire F-16 cockpit in their garage. I love the internet. And those of you in the know might know about one of the coolest custom rigs ever made from scratch. And that's made by the dudes over at Hoonigan. It's a full simulator installed inside the tube frame of a race car with classic Hoonigan touches like really nice rims for literally no reason. And even better, there's 2 of them, so you and your buddy can race virtual cars against each other. All of these crazy DIY builds are amazing because it means that you don't need to be a millionaire to enjoy immersive, involved, and exciting sim racing. Now, if you are a millionaire and also a little insane, this last rig on our list might be for you. Have you ever wondered what it'd be like to be a hamster in a giant plastic ball? Well, the Nova 360 is for you then. This space-age spherical simulator is really something special, and you know it when you walk in and on the floor are the words printed, "Welcome Traveler," which is so apt because you're gonna put on a VR headset and be transported to just entire other worlds, man, when you're floating around in this ball. The Nova 360 is a steel and plexiglass bubble that puts pretty much every other motion sim to shame because it can actually go upside down. You can do actual barrel rolls in this thing, and unfortunately also simulate crazy flipping through the air NASCAR crashes if you really want to. In fact, the motion simulation in the Nova 360 is supposedly so good that those that get sick from VR headsets normally because the motion is kind of, it doesn't play right with your brain. They don't get motion sickness because the Nova 360 tricks their brain into thinking what's happening is actually happening. Now, here's the real question. How much does it cost? Well, we don't know because Nova 360 will only rent you it for $150,000 a year, which is why, obviously, probably one of their only clients is the military and not, you know, plebs like us. The good news is they do plan on making a more affordable simulator for gamers. And when they do, I'm definitely gonna want one. I'm not gonna get one, but I'm certainly gonna want one. So that is our list of some of the craziest motion sim rigs out there on the market today. I'm sure you might know of some that I don't know about. There's a bazillion companies that make these things. Let us know down below what's your favorite, or if you own one yourself or have built one yourself. I would love to hear about those. Either way, I'm the Squid, this is Ideal Cars. If you liked the video, like it. If you disliked it, I'm sorry. Try again next time. And make sure you subscribe down below because we're gonna keep bringing you content like this. And that is definitely living the ideal lifestyle. I'm that way.